I don't know what you stand on. I don't know what your values is. You said you was about this, but this week you're not about that no more. Let me calm down. I got me preaching. Next slide. So this is just another cultural overlay with the ephod tradition and the Kemetic tradition to show you it's just the same tradition with a different cultural expression. So you got Ola Damare, which is the creator in Yoruba, and Yom Kippur, which is the creator in the Khan, the Abasum, which is the ants, the deities in the Khan, or Orisha is the deities in Ifa. So we have the Himamentu, which are the ancestors in Samanfo, and the Agungun. It's all the same spiritual practice with different manifestations. Like the elder said at the beginning, it's all God. Go ahead. So what is the Kemetic tradition about? It's about Ma'at. Y'all heard about Ma'at, right? Ma'at is the 7 cardinal virtues: truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, reciprocity, order, and balance. Even the most ignorant so-called Kemite know that much. Whether you're initiated or you're not initiated, we all agree on that. Might be give or take 1 or 2 of the principles, but we all agree on it. Go to the next page. Y'all all familiar with the 42 principles of Ma'at. They say it's called the 42 declarations of innocence. How many people got this poster somewhere in their house? Okay. So remember we talked about Upper Kemet and Lower Kemet. We talked about the different nomes, the different cities. So those nomes of those cities between 2 countries, which was 1 country, those nomes of those cities were represented by 42 different tribes, 42 different ethnicities, meaning 42 different languages, 42 different genetic pool. So Ma'at is a highly spiritual philosophy because it's governed by 42 spirits. So this is the truncated form of it, but you have to address an ancestral spirit before you're able to recite those 42. But since Negroes, we all spooked out, they took the spirit part out and just left the 42 because y'all are Bible-based and y'all like stuff that sounds close to the 10 Commandments in the Bible. So we could pick on the Hebrew Israelites about how they got their stuff from us. But it's 42 spirits that govern, the 42 ancestral spirits that govern those 42 different nomes. So this brings new dimension to when you violate one of those 42 principles of Ma'at. And those spirits are warrior spirits. They ain't nice. They're keeping law. They're keeping divine law. So it brings new dimension when you break one of the 42, when you've stolen. Don't you know when you borrow money and you ain't pay somebody money back, that's considered stealing? So now the spirit is on you, like, get that money back. Then it starts making you contemplate your life, like, well, maybe something's not right in my life. Maybe I need to start doing some things different. Or, what do I have to do to restore the balance? People just be like, oh, I'll get them next year, oh, we get them next year, kid. Nah, violation 1 of the 42 is big. What do you have to do to restore balance? So that is a whole life philosophy right there. And cats just got it on their wall, in the background. When that is the foundation. For those, that's Baba Haru. Remember Baba Haru from that other picture? He redacted and restored the 42 in the update version for the challenges we have nowadays. So he calls them the 42 covenants of Ma'at. I'm too old to read that small. Just to let you know it exists, you can get it, look up Baba Haru, and it'll get that to you. Do we sell them at the temple? Okay, we could get some more. We sell them at the temple. Go ahead. So for those of you who are more metaphysically inclined, the 42 delineates down into what they call the 7 Hermetic principles, the 7 Kemetic principles. This is talking about your mental paradigm, so from consciousness, how you create a thought and how a thought transduces and manifests into an actual reality. Y'all seen these before? Y'all live out there? Anybody seen them before? Yeah. All right. Remember, African thing is interactive. Y'all can't just be sitting here listening to people that speak at your head. We got to know that you're alive. It's a dialogue, it's a conversation. So, notice the emphasis on 7. So it's the 7 principles of Ma'at. We also got 42. Go to the next one. Kemetic proverb, the principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandably possess the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. So this is a highly metaphysical philosophy. That means if you know those principles, if you practice those principles, you increase in power. You become a force to be reckoned with. But Negroes is lazy these days. We just like to talk about stuff, talk around stuff, and sound deep. Remember, the knowledge is just to develop your character, but you're supposed to put it into action. All right, so now, notice that in the Kemetic community, when someone asks what the Kemetic legacy is about, they tell you to go get the Book of the Dead, right, in the pyramid text. I never suggest that. Because the pyramid text in the Book of the Dead, the Ryu and Pertim Heru, the books are coming forth by day, or the books are coming into consciousness from ignorance. That's what it's really called. I don't suggest that to people. I've seen cats get that book and they just like, what the heck is this? Because we tell them, oh, you know that the Bible and the Quran come from the Book of the Dead and the pyramid text. Go get it, you'll see. And they look at they're like, I can't make any sense out of it. Because those are priestly texts. There's always a society, it's millions of people, but the priests were a small percentage of that, so you can't take a priestly thing and give it to the masses and be like, oh, it's deep, right? They're like, I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. There's other things that you need to be looking at before the Book of the Dead in the Persian Peru, in the pyramid text. There's the Book of Ptah, the Book of Kajemni, the Book of Kun-Anu, the Book of Ankh-Shashanki. Those are wisdom texts. Those are called Kamit. Those are the texts of ancient Kemet. That's what you need to be into. Not all that extra deep stuff. Y'all need to get back into being good people, right and just people towards one another. Because we can't nation build till we do that. So when you ask, what is this thing going to do for me and how is it going to help our people, I'll point them to this. These things come from the book, excerpt from the book Egyptian Philosophers by Molefi K. Asante, one of the esteemed scholars in the community. This is his review of the book of Kun-Anu. He transduced it down to these 10 principles of what it is, the Ma'at philosophy. Because if you don't know how to live Ma'at, all you got is those words, justice, righteousness, harmony, or everybody know that, you know that by heart, but what is it? How do you live it? So would critical thinking improve things in our community? The ability to distinguish between good and evil, right from wrong. In the practice of Ma'at, one was always aware of the ultimate rendezvous with the Du'a. You're going to die one day and you're going to be held accountable by your ancestors about what you did or what you failed to do. So you better get on your deen about your ability to recognize what's right and what's wrong. Starting with self, not with the white man, starting with self. 2, devotion, consecrating oneself by vow to Ma'at. How one consecrated oneself was based on the linkage to the spiritual rites. If a person was a devotee of one of the gods, he would practice the rites necessary to demonstrate devotion. But devotion itself would only be revealed in the actual way of a person responding to deep meditation. You cannot show devotion, it must arise in your own heart, and even if others will not see it, you will know it. So did somebody say Africans don't believe in God? Everybody was just scientists. Now you hear about from the text, from the ancestors, said devotion to one of the deities. Because in the African tradition, everybody has a mother and a father spiritual deity. And once you know what that mother and father forces over your head, until then you can't actualize your power in the world. So if you're a child, you're supposed to grow up. So if we're all children of the Most High, then we're supposed to grow up. We're not supposed to stay a child. Something's seriously genetically wrong with you if you stay a baby. Okay. Control. Don't we need control in our community? Self-control, right? Not the white man, we need control amongst ourselves. We be acting a fool, even in the conscious community. It's a free fall, it's like a Royal Rumble in the community nowadays. Let's go with tolerance, allowing and permitting others to express their views. That's the essence of this conference today. We can't be out there telling the Hebrew Israelites they got to throw out their Bible. Get rid of the Bible. They can't tell us to get rid of the Persian Hebrew. That's not showing tolerance in their beliefs. Because they will say, oh, that's what the white man used to to keep us down and hold us back, right? Y'all heard that? But then I look at the Hebrew Israelites and I look at Nat Turner in the same book that was used to hold us back. They turned it into a revolutionary movement. So it can't be all that bad. It becomes, can you switch your perception on how you're interpreting what you're reading? So if that could make them a better person, then the Kemetic legacy could make them a better person, I ain't got a problem with it. Because if they're really following that tradition, if a Muslim is really following the tradition, if Ifa is really following the tradition, it's all about Ma'at. We just call it Ma'at. I'm thinking Ifa, they call it Iwa Rere or Iwa Pele. Iwa Pele. Ashe. Faith. Cats in the conscious community hate that word. They think it's a Christian thing. Faith and expression of optimism. There are people out here dying on the streets and y'all Negroes over here laughing and dancing. And that's why they don't come to African ritual. They think we just having fun dancing. And they be like, our people are dying and y'all having fun dancing. You get in trouble in the conscious community for being happy. It's illegal to be happy in the conscious community these days. We're going to get back to that. Spiritual desire, showing the will to achieve victory over present circumstances. Initiation, achieving mastery over self. So now, if I master myself, then I master my emotions. If I master myself, then you cannot offend me. If you master yourself, then I cannot offend you. According to the Kemetic text, it says, one who is self-mastered is offered a wide seat, and the harsh are kinder to them than their own mothers. He who controls himself controls others. Did y'all see how that directly improves conditions in the conscious community? If we mastered ourselves, we wouldn't be having this royal rumble going on just because of different beliefs. So the violation of all of these things is the cause of all the chaos and disharmony in the community. It might be instigated by white folks, but y'all are not stupid, y'all are not imbeciles. You know the 42, you know the 7, so what's stopping you from applying and improving our conditions? Right? So, when you follow those 42, when you follow those 7, you become a principled man for your woman. You become a principled woman for your man. You become principled parents for your children. You become principled families for society. You become a principled society for the nation. Y'all see how it works? Before you buy land and before you buy buildings, we got to be right and just amongst one another. Jesus ain't going to save you. Muhammad ain't gonna save you. We've been given tools to prepare for whenever, if you believe any of them is coming back, you've been given tools. You gotta learn how to master yourself. So when you start following the 42 and you understand and respect Ma'at and live a Ma'atic lifestyle, 2 things start happening. 2 things coalesce inside your being. Being and doing. Your doing is superficial. Your doing is empty if you're not coming from an authentic place to be. Or authentic place of being. And you're not coming from an authentic place of being if you're not doing anything. If you're coming from an authentic place of being, nobody has to compel you to do libation to your ancestors. Nobody has to force you to pray. Nobody has to force you to meditate. If you're authentic in the spiritual as you say you are, you naturally do those things every day. You don't miss a day. So those people that are struggling with those things, you're not coming from an authentic place of being. So, we're going to wind it down. So the role of African spirituality according to Kemet is Ba'ibu Neter, Ba'ibu Keh. What is Neter again, sister? Most High. My soul is divine. My soul is eternal. So it comes down to immortality and self and power. Some people think the Kemetic people were obsessed with death. We wasn't obsessed with death. The only difference between death and living is a matter of dimension. We embrace death. We have a saying, it says, even though you may lose family, you gain ancestors. We were not obsessed with death. The Europeans were obsessed with treasure maps. So they started raiding the tombs of our ancestors, and all they could find is the Ryu Pertham Viru, also known as, what's some of these people, all they care about is death. So immortality don't mean you're going to live forever in the flesh. Immortality means do Ma'atic things, do good things that you're going to be remembered by. Have people telling good stories about you, because in the African tradition, when you have a name, as long as somebody's remembering your name, you will live forever. And lastly, self-empowerment. Self-empowerment comes from, go back to the Hermetic principle. I'm winding it down. Self-empowerment, go back, remember that principle of mentalism that was up there? All is mind, I say all is consciousness. So, what it means by this, when thought exclusively occupies your mind, it becomes a physical state. Y'all understand that? When the thought exclusively occupies your mind, it becomes a physical state. So, if you're going around feeling oppressed by a white person or whoever, that means there's something incongruent and oppressive going on in your head. That makes sense? You see the accountability in the Ma'at philosophy, it's all starting with your consciousness. So it says in order to change the state, you have to focus on the equal and opposite state. So if you're sad, you have to focus on what? Happiness. Happiness. If you're discontent, you have to focus on what? And we don't like that in the conscious community. Remember, we had faith. Talk about being optimistic, and cats is getting mad at you for trying to be positive. Being positive is about respecting the process. They're getting mad because they're responding to an old construct of racism. While we're in a new construct, we're creating a new reality. We can see it, we can smell it, we can almost taste it, and we're being optimistic because we know it's coming into fruition. Our new construct is deconstructing the old construct while they keep responding to the old construct. We're living ourselves into the new construct. So faith is just being patient of the process on how a thought manifests into reality. Does that make sense? Okay, let's close it up. So now we're left with this issue. Do I work on myself or do I help other people? What do y'all think? Forget everybody else. I got to fix myself first. And some people feel like, let me help the community. There's other people that's doing worse than me, and I'll get to my stuff later. And that's no. The Kemetic way is you got to do both. You got to do both concurrently. You got to work on yourself. That's what tradition is for. It gives you a daily protocol on how to stay empowered yourself. And with that, you still are supposed to help the less fortunate than yourself. Because it's in the Ma'atic law. You got to take care of those less fortunate. Yeah. So, in closing, there's a statement saying, he who struggles together with the people of their town shall rejoice in victory with them. That's the coming together of the two. I'm the Himnet and the Biddy Ross on Kevin, Chief and Head Priest of the Temple of Anu. Thank you for your time.
He's right there.
And this lovely lady here is Himnet Netzer of the Temple of Anu. I was here to do this presentation without. I'll run the house, I'll rule the house, she runs the house. Bye. Thank you.